The dusty road wound through the mountains, the warm wind whispering secrets across the ridges. Far in the distance, a faint shimmer on the horizon marked the city of Athens.
A young man, strong and determined, walked with a steady pace, a heavy club resting across his shoulders.
His name was Theseus, and his long shadow stretched across the golden stones of the path, a silent companion on his journey.
Ahead, the sound of chatter broke the quiet.
A group of Athenian travelers, their carts groaning under the weight of trade goods, were making their way along the same road. They saw Theseus and greeted him with the friendly curiosity of fellow wanderers. "Are you heading to Athens, young man?"
One of them asked, smiling. "You've chosen the safer route."
"This way you avoid the dangerous Scaran cliffs." The innkeeper is so kind. Travelers often find themselves staying longer than they planned. Theseus, weary from the long road, managed a faint smile. "Then perhaps I'll rest there for the night," he replied,
his voice raspy with dust.
He fell into step with them, and as they walked, the conversation naturally turned to the great city of Athens and the whispers that surrounded it.
"They say King Aegeus has lost his grip on the throne," one merchant murmured, his voice low.
"It's the sorceress Medea who truly rules now," another added, "and she plans to place her own son on the throne with the backing of Pallas's sons."
The group fell quiet for a moment.
"An Athenian king of foreign blood." "It's an unsettling thought for the city," someone finally said. At these words, a subtle fire ignited in Theseus's eyes.
He lifted his gaze toward the distant Acropolis, a faint outline against the sky.
"Athena guards the city," he said, his voice firm with a conviction that surprised the others. "As long as she watches over her people, justice will not fall."
The travelers looked at him, a newfound respect in their eyes. Soon, they reached a fork in the road and parted ways.
Theseus continued on his path alone, his mind heavy with thoughts of Athens.
He thought of the father he had never met, King Aegeus, and the shadow of political struggle that now loomed over the city. A great challenge awaited him. He knew, but it only strengthened his resolve. A cool wind swept through the ancient trees, carrying a sense of foreboding. Suddenly, a man appeared, stumbling down the slope towards him.
He was disheveled and breathless, his eyes wide with terror.
"Turn back!"
he cried, his voice trembling.
"Whatever you do, don't stay at the lodge ahead. It's a trap. That's where travelers disappear." Theseus stopped, his hand instinctively tightening its grip on his club. He looked at the frantic man, his expression calm but serious. "Disappear? What do you mean?"
The man panted, struggling to catch his breath.
"Yes,"
he gasped.
"The host there. He calls himself PROCRUSTES. He promises every traveler the perfect bed, but once they lie down, they are never seen again." "I only escaped by a miracle."
A heavy silence fell between them, broken only by the rustling leaves and the man's ragged breathing.
Then Theseus spoke, his voice low and steady. "Then the time has come for someone to end his deceit." The man stared at him in disbelief. "Are you mad?" "You must run."
But Theseus simply shook his head and, despite the man's desperate protests, continued walking up the path.
The lodge soon came into view, standing alone in a clearing, shrouded by mist. It looked neat and quiet from the outside, yet a strange, unnatural coldness seemed to radiate from its walls.
Lanterns flickered along the wooden porch, casting long, dancing shadows. A faint, metallic scent, like iron, hung in the air, a chilling undertone to the smell of pine.
From within, a voice called out, smooth and deceptively welcoming. Welcome, traveler. You look weary from your journey. Come in. Here, my bed brings perfect rest to all who lie upon it. You will find it is the perfect fit. The door creaked open, revealing a large, smiling man. Theseus stepped into the dim light of the lodge, a faint, knowing smile playing on his lips. He looked at the innkeeper, then at the large, ominous-looking bed in the corner. Then perhaps it will fit me as well as it fits all the others, he replied calmly, his gaze unwavering. The night deepened, and the forest outside grew silent. A sliver of moonlight streamed through the single window, painting a pale stripe across the wooden floor. All was still.
Then a soft creak broke the silencer. Sound of the bedroom door inching open.
Procrustes stepped into the room, a glint of metal in his hand, his eyes fixed on the bed where his guest lay.
But Theseus was not asleep. He was waiting. His voice, low and steady, cut through the tense stillness. You measure all your travelers by your own standard, don't you, Procrustes? The innkeeper froze, his plan exposed. A sneer twisted his welcoming smile into a cruel grimace. Everyone must fit the same rule, he hissed, and those who don't, well, I make them fit. Theseus rose slowly from the bed, his shadow growing tall and imposing against the wall. True justice isn't a single, rigid measure, Procrustes, he said, his voice echoing with authority. It bends for no one, not even for you. In an instant, the room erupted in a fierce struggle. It was a clash, not just of strength, but of wills. Procrustes' brutal, unyielding tyranny against Theseus's unwavering resolve for justice. The sound of their fight echoed through the wooden beams of the silent lodge, a battle for the fate of all future travelers on this road.
At last, the violent sounds ceased.
The inn grew still once more, the only noise, the whisper of the wind outside.
When the first light of dawn began to break, the heavy mist thinned, and the forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief.
Theseus stepped out of the lodge, the golden light of the rising sun touching his face.
Behind him, the inn stood silent, a place no longer ruled by deceit and cruelty. He looked toward the east, toward the distant city, still hidden by the mountains. A new chapter of his journey was about to begin, he murmured to himself, his voice filled with purpose. Now, to my father's Athens! And with steady, determined steps, he descended the mountain road, his shadow stretching long before him, reaching toward the city where his destiny awaited. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the ancient world. We'll see you in the next video.